Hey there, so you're thinking about making a move here to Utah, but you're not quite sure because you've heard some negative things. Well, we are going to unpack those things today, and we are going to hop into whether or not this may or may not be a good fit for you, and we're gonna get after it right now. Mariah K here. Welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel if this is your very first time here. I'm a licensed and active real estate agent here in Utah, and this channel is literally everything you need to know about eating, working, playing, sleeping, and living in Utah. And if that is of interest to you, consider subscribing down below. Make sure you tap that bell for notifications so you are notified. Subscribe. Every week we drop a new video. We hear from people like you all the time who are looking to move, who are looking to relocate, buy or sell a property here in Utah, and we absolutely love it. So if you're thinking about making a move in a week, in a month, or even a year from now, feel free to give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email, and my team and I would love to help you out. So making a move here to Utah can be an extremely exciting adventure, but it also can have some reservations, and there also can be some nerves involved in that whole process. So today we are going to run through some different things that you should know and you should be aware of if you are thinking about making a move here to Utah, so you don't move here and you're like, oh no, I had no idea, I didn't realize these things. So number one, let's talk about the weather. Yes, the weather can vary here in Utah drastically. So you can have a beautiful 70 degree and sunny sort of day, and then literally the next day it can be 50 degrees and raining. Literally happens not often, but often enough where there is a saying, if you don't like the weather here in Utah, wait an hour and there's a good chance it'll probably change. So just know we experience in southern Utah some really hot summer months, and here in the Salt Lake area we experience some nice cold winters with a lot of world-class skiing and snow. So just know weather is a big factor here. For some, they love that because you've got the four seasons and the change of seasons, so that is a huge one. Number two, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints plays a significant role here in and around Utah. You are going to see there is a lot of religious influence with members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. You will see a lot of church buildings, you will see a lot of temples, you will see a lot of things in and away of that. Yes, there's a lot of religious diversity here as well, so just know that going into it as well. Number three is the rising cost of home prices. Yes, I know this one is so sad to me. I remember when my husband and I first moved here, and at the time I was teaching elementary school. I was a third grade teacher, and I remember I was looking at homes and I'm like, oh, that one's $90,000 and that one is, $100,000. And I remember doing the math in my head of okay, on my teacher salary, we actually probably would be able to qualify for this while he was going to grad school and all of that. I'm sorry to say that is not the case anymore. The average median home price now is $550,000 for a single family residence. So the housing prices have gone up significantly. Number four is the political landscape of Utah. Utah historically has leaned more on the conservative side. For some people, they're like, that's exactly why I'm moving to Utah. That is exactly why I want to be in Utah. For other people, they're like, oh, you know what? My political beliefs may not line up with that as much. So that might, steer me in a different direction of maybe why I may not want to live here. But for others, they're like, this is exactly why I want to be here. So just know political landscape tends to lean more toward conservative here in Utah. Number five are the earthquakes. Yes, earthquakes. There is something called the Wasatch Fault. Yes, the Wasatch Fault, which I actually didn't know about. I came from California and earthquakes were very normal. I remember as a kid, we would do the earthquake drills at school all the time. When I was a teacher there, we would also do earthquake drills, and you do all the stuff for the earthquake drills. Here in Utah, since we've been here, I've only felt 2 earthquakes. Maybe there's been other little ones that have been around, but I've felt 2. They didn't cause any damage that I am aware of at the time, but just know that there are earthquakes here. People have asked what are, do you get a lot of tornadoes or whatnot? No, the natural disasters that we usually experience here are mostly wildfires. Yes, wildfires are what we've experienced here, and then also just a drought, and similar to many of the other places around the areas, Utah has been in a drought for a few years. This last winter was phenomenal for us, and it really pushed us out of the drought in an extreme drought for many of the places, so that's a good one. So natural disasters, we're usually looking more at wildfires here and an occasional earthquake or two, but that's usually what we see in the way of natural disasters here in Utah. Moving right along to the next one, altitude considerations. Yeah, moving right, altitude considerations. I remember we've had friends that have moved here and they're like, Mariah, we got here, I felt like I couldn't even breathe, or shortness of breath or headaches or sore throats, simply because of the altitude and the elevation that you will experience here, just because of how high Salt Lake is and Utah is in general. So just know that going into it. Moving right along to the next one, because there are so many incredible outdoor activities here, just know that the traffic and congestion can get backed up. I'm telling you, if you are planning on going to a national park, make sure you get your reservation ahead of time so that you can actually get into the national park. I've talked to so many people that are like, oh, I didn't realize I needed to get basically reserve your spot into the park at a certain time, and they show up to the park and they're like, wait a minute, I can't get in here. Just know too, also the lines getting in and out, depending on the time of year. A lot of these outdoor activities can be fairly crowded. Getting to different ski resorts, if you're going up Big and Little Cottonwood Canyon to get up to Brighton and Solitude and Alta and all of those, Alta Ski Resort, getting up to those, the traffic can be really backed up depending on the time of day that you're trying to get there. So just know the traffic is less than many of the other places, but the traffic can be a factor for some people that are looking to move here. They're like, oh man, I don't want to experience that. But getting to and from different places, yes, you can experience that. One thing that also has been noted by some sports celebrities, stars, NBA, in the last All-Star game, they were talking about, since it was, hosted here, they were talking about some of the people were like, oh man, there's nothing to do at night and the nightlife is pretty boring here and whatnot. For my family and I feel like, the number of Jazz basketball games that you can go to, there, at the Delta Center, there are so many events throughout the year. If you are looking at going to different events, different things there, the different shops and restaurants and eateries and dining, there's a lot in a way, to do. But compared to some other cities, some people feel like Salt Lake doesn't have as many things to do. And then moving right along to the last one is simply the dry climate. Yes, the dry climate, which keeps it so it's not so hot or so cold because of the dryness. You're not going to have a lot of humidity, which for some people they're like, I actually like having the humidity. I like that. But for others, they're like, gosh, I don't like how dry it always is. Constantly putting on chapstick and lotion and all of that just because the lack of humidity. But because of the lack of humidity, the hot summer months, yes, they get hot, but they may not feel as hot, and the winter may not feel as cold just because of the lack of humidity. So hopefully these things, again, some of these negatives, and I put that in quotation marks, negatives, some people feel like, hey, you know what? The dryness, the traffic, the housing market, some of these different things are really not a major factor from where they're coming from, because they're like, oh, the traffic's 10 times worse, or the housing market from where I'm coming from, this feels like I'm getting a deal here. But for other people, knowing that coming in, they're like, oh, you know what, that really is something that I should know and something that I should consider, if I am thinking about making a move. And if you are thinking about making a move, relocating, buying or selling a property here in Utah, my team and I help people like you all the time, and we absolutely love it. So feel free to give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email, and it would be our pleasure to chat with you and see how we can help. Take care, and wishing you a wonderful day. Bye.